The hospital room was quiet except for the soft hum of machines and the occasional footsteps of nurses outside the door. Haley Morgan, 19, lay on the bed staring blankly at the ceiling, her body stiff, her legs lifeless. Just 3 months ago, she had been a rising college athlete with a bright future in track and field. Now, after a brutal car accident, she was told she might never walk again. The words echoed in her head every day, not just from the doctors, but from the part of her that had started to believe it was true. Her mother, Angela, was doing everything she could. She worked overtime at a diner, balancing bills, physical therapy costs, and her daughter's emotional collapse. But Haley had grown quiet. She no longer smiled, didn't engage with her friends, and avoided mirrors. Angela stayed hopeful, but even she was running out of strength. One Friday afternoon, after Haley's therapy session, their old car stalled outside a small auto garage in a quiet Kentucky town. Frustrated and tired, Angela got out and walked into the shop while Haley stayed in the passenger seat, arms folded, eyes empty. Inside the shop, a mechanic named Jace-32, bearded, soft-spoken, greeted Angela and offered to take a look at the car right away. While he worked under the hood, he noticed Haley watching him through the windshield. There was something haunting in her eyes, something that looked like giving up. He wiped his hands, walked over slowly, and tapped on the window. "Rough day?" he asked gently. Haley didn't respond, just gave a faint shrug. Angela, walking up behind him, said softly, "She hasn't had an easy time. Doctors say she may not walk again." Jace didn't flinch at the words. Instead, he crouched a little and looked Haley in the eyes. "Doctors told me I wouldn't lift my arm again after a work accident. Guess what? I proved them wrong." She blinked just once, but it was the first flicker of emotion he'd seen. He didn't push further. After fixing the car, he handed Angela the keys, then reached into his pocket and scribbled something on a card. "This isn't about fixing cars," he said, passing it to Haley. The card read, "Come by the shop. Not for the car, for your comeback." Haley held it without a word. That night, back in her room, Haley stared at the card for a long time. She didn't know what it meant or why it mattered, but for some reason, she didn't throw it away. In her world of therapists, pity, and hospital walls, this garage worker's words felt different, like they weren't coded in sympathy, but belief. She still couldn't move her legs. She still doubted everything. But deep down something flickered. Not hope exactly, not yet, but maybe curiosity. Maybe a tiny, hidden thought that the story wasn't quite over. Not if someone somewhere still believed it could be rewritten. Haley sat in silence as her mom pulled into the gravel lot of the same garage. She hadn't told her therapist, or even herself, why she wanted to come back. All she knew was that no hospital, no sterile rehab center had made her feel the way that handwritten card did. Jace was outside, wiping down a set of tools when he saw the car. A small smile formed on his face, not surprised, not overly cheerful, just calm, like he already knew she'd return. Without saying much, he walked around to the passenger side and opened the door. "I'm not a doctor," he said as he gently helped her into a wheelchair. "But I know what it's like to be told something's impossible." She looked up at him, still skeptical, but nodded. He led her around the back of the garage, where a small, private space had been cleared out, weights, bands, a worn-out yoga mat, and old resistance machines filled the area. "Built it after I broke my back on a job site," he explained. "Doctors gave up on me, so I built this instead of a pity party." Haley looked around, unsure, then finally said, "Okay, let's try." They started slowly. Jace didn't push her with motivational speeches or dramatic promises. He treated her like someone capable, not broken. At first, it was simple stretches, breathing exercises, just focusing on small movements. Some days, she'd cry out of frustration. Some days she'd barely get through a few minutes. But Jace always showed up, steady and patient. He celebrated every toe twitch, every shaky knee lift like it was a gold medal. And slowly, something inside Haley began to change, not just physically, but mentally. Her body wasn't quick to heal, but her spirit was. Jace saw past her pain, past the limitations others had drawn around her. In his garage gym, she wasn't a victim, she was a fighter. Over the weeks, she learned to brace herself, to shift weight, to engage long-forgotten muscles. Angela watched from the corner sometimes, tears in her eyes, whispering prayers she hadn't dared to speak out loud in months. The girl who once couldn't stand the sight of her reflection now gritted her teeth through every rep, fighting to find her strength again. And then one crisp October afternoon, with Jace holding her elbows and her mom watching with bated breath, Haley pushed herself off the wheelchair. Her legs trembled like newborn branches, but she didn't fall. She took one step, then another, 2 shaky, glorious steps. Jace didn't cheer loudly. He just looked at her and said, "Told you." Not? Impossible. Haley laughed through tears, collapsing into a hug with her mom. The doctors had been wrong. Her belief had been broken. But a garage worker with grease on his hands and faith in his eyes gave her something no hospital could. A second chance. Asterisk.